Hi, it's Hazel. Welcome to my channel and welcome to day 89 of the 100-Day Project. Now, this is totally, this was totally unplanned. The day 88 video was all about me taking apart a journal that I made with some dubious techniques in 2020. So that was the year that I first even heard the term, went down a rabbit hole of watching videos, and of course we were all locked down, so that made it conducive to get addicted to YouTube. Anyway, if you watched the day 88 video, you know that there were a number of pages in there. There were actually 5 signatures, and I had I'd invented some sort of a binding system that involved only 3 rows of stitching. So go figure, eh? So it seemed that I put 2 signatures in the outer set of holes and 2 signatures in the other, like in each outer row of holes, and 1 signature down the center. Anyway, long story short, and you can thank me now or you can thank me later, I went over these pages and ripped off all the things, for the most part, that had been covering them. So there were these kinds of pages that you know, sort of specialty stationery that you can get. There was just colored copy paper, note paper, you know, old stationery. So I did what I could to get that off, and then I thought, well, okay, I don't want to remove every single speck because I would then be losing some texture. I also told you, once I revealed it to myself, that this was in fact a piece of canvas. And that's why the cover feels so nice and is so sturdy and whatever. So the decision I made was to, of course, take the thing apart and reimagine it as something new. And I'm thinking that maybe just for the heck of it, I should be calling, instead of calling it an art journal, just maybe call it a glue book. Glue book, art journal, you know. It'll be so beautiful, it'll defy definition. Yes, she said optimistically. So, of course, we're not going to work on all of these pages. Who knows how well this will go. Now, we know that when it comes to collage or covering something, excuse me, it is the easiest thing in the world to pick something very beautiful, like digitals or, you know, vintage papers or something like that. Kind of easy, kind of a no-brainer, just do it. But how about instead doing some of those less attractive, perhaps, those itty-bitty scraps, those leftovers from other things that never quite got used up, and they keep, you know, piling up, kicking around. So I've pulled together several things. This was a piece of wallpaper border that somebody had cut something out of. So again, I don't know that I probably might not use this because I don't want to waste your time fussy cutting. But there's that. I have this. Now this is, well, I don't want to say 100 years old, and it has quite a sheen to it. But this was actually on a roll, was sold by the box at a liquidation store, well, Liquidation World, that hasn't been in business for a long time. So I don't know. Should I try licking one end? It looks like it should be gummed, but of course we won't count on that. I have these things that must have come out of some sort of an El Cheapo Oh, these were those Wallies. Those sets that you see every so often in a thrift store. That, and of course I have much more beautiful ones than this. I have cherubs. I have, pansies. Anyway, there are these. So I want to use some of those. And then just some other stuff. Like I ripped out a couple of these pages out of a sort of a, let's say, and I shouldn't say that because that's stereotypical. Not only men work with rigging and cranes and stuff like that. This has some distress oxide on it. This is something that I cut out of an art type book. This is out of a book. This is probably somebody's, this must have been a tag, maybe I don't know what that is. Here's some paper, some tissue that I worked on. Here's the negative from a die cutting thing. And then, of course, some of these images that are still good from the demolition I did earlier. I also have a couple of new napkin patterns that I haven't really fully, well, this one I just peeled the backing off now. This one I used for something else. Oh, and we also have this stack of some of these papers. Maybe you can see it better down here. Where I did that color transfer technique the other day. Some of them, as you know, if you watch that video, worked better than others. So that is at the ready. What else? Okay, maybe less talking and more working. So what I'm going to do, the only rule that I'm setting for myself is that I mustn't go too thick with anything, because this is already sort of poster weight paper. It already has a layer of paint and or gesso on it. So I don't want to use anything really heavy duty, but I do want to get some stuff down that will ultimately become, the background. And I don't want to prejudge. So let's not prejudge. Now, again, you may be thinking, well, that is mighty ugly looking stuff there. Why are you putting, investing more materials and more time after bad? Did I say that right? You know what I mean. But I think that, number one, I have a bigger skill set now in 2023 than I did in 2020, so that's automatically going to help me. Plus, whatever I do is, it's play, it's experimentation, it is fixable. And in a case like this, I want to probably get rid of these because they've been hanging on too long. So maybe I choose to use some of these on every single page. How many have I got here anyway? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. So, I'm sure I have enough here. Anyway, so if I add a couple of these, it will automatically be a unifying element. And then when all is said and done, and some of this, in the next phase of this project, a person might decide, well, we need to add some paint or some gesso or tissue or something that would unify it all, so every page doesn't look like, it was done by a drunken sailor. And again, I really don't know what my plan was here, other than to cover, a glossy poster. there doesn't seem to be much rhyme or reason to the colors that I used. And I'm going to try not to pick at things unless they're loose, because if they're loose, of course, they're going to lift at some point. But, so again, enough talking. Let's just start gluing something. Okay. Glue paper in on the side here, circles at the ready, and let's see where this takes us. So I hope that the takeaway for you, well, okay, I'm assuming that you know, many of the viewers that have found me, or many of the people who are subscribers, are probably newer to the whole paper crafting, junk journal scenario situation. So, or even if you're not, even if you have a few years under your belt or several projects under your belt, can't get rid of that. I just want this to be a reminder that things go through an ugly phase. And that is the same of whether you're a fine artist and painting, whether you're a writer and working on a first draft. There are points in any of those undertakings, and maybe the same is true for other crafts as well, I'm not sure, or vocations, or hobbies, whatever word you choose, where you think, oh, brother, let me cut my losses now and throw this thing away and, you know, start again. Well, I'm here to say that that is probably not right. If I would have been disturbed by this thing when I made it in 2020 and chosen to throw it away, what good would that have done me? I would have missed a learning opportunity. I would have, well, I guess that's the basic thing. And I really do love this cover. So by changing the guts inside, I get a chance, I get a second kick at the cat to make this be something that is going to work better for me. Now, I also have learned that it's best not to run papers or anything over the gutter, the center fold here, because it just makes it harder for pages to fold and close properly. So now I'm leaving that little space. Isn't she a smart cookie? So if you've done something that maybe you're not that thrilled with, maybe you're downright, you know, embarrassed by or whatever, don't throw it away. Don't beat yourself up for it, up over it. Just consider it one of those, a semester in the school of, I don't want to say the school of hard knocks because that makes it sound like this isn't fun. Maybe it was just a semester in the school of real life. Now, I don't really know what my overall plan is here, other than, see, I might want to leave the tissue for a top layer. Maybe I should throw a few more things down. And again, I'm basically limiting myself to what was on within arm's reach, or something that I've handled lately and think, use it or lose it, Bill. So that's what we're attempting here. And again, I'm probably only going to do, you know, this side and the back side. I mean, you've all seen, you've all cut and torn and glued things down before. If you've watched any of my videos, you probably know something about my approach or my belief system about how to tackle things like this. So again, I'm going to try not to overlap too much, just because I don't want this getting very, very thick. Now, of course, it's not going to be as thick as it was before, or not as hard to close it as before, because I'm avoiding that center fold. But still, there's more to come here. There will, like I said, there will either be paint or tissue or gesso or something to unify things. And will this be a finished project or a work in progress? I don't know. I don't know. I have to say that there is something very satisfying. Maybe I'm going to just roughen up the edge, because I don't think I'm not covering the whole surface. So, you know, when I add another layer at some point, I really don't want there to be too much in the way of straight lines. Anyway, I started saying it is very, very freeing to just, what does that Canadian say? Get her done. Just get her done. So I'm not worrying about colors, because I've already said there is a way to unify this. Maybe something a bit taller would be good. Maybe a wet wipe would be good also. To keep those hands less sticky. I hope that you are well. I hope that you have clean, safe air to breathe. The Alberta smoke, or that, you know, that air quality index today was, I think it was 7. So it's on the upper side of, you know, it's not good, is basically it. So I think that's contributing to the, you know, the scratchy eyes, see, I even have something like this. The scratchy eyes, the hoarse throat, you know, it's not good. Let's just say it's not good. So I hope that you're not living through that. Okay, I think I'm going to put this here, simply because at some point that will hopefully show up in a way that is, you know, indicates another layer and another point of interest. Oh, tore that at a point of weakness. Let's just see what we can do here. Maybe I shouldn't put her smack dab in the middle. That's not a good design feature. Let me see if that's straight. Okay. Pretty good. Where's my card? Where's my card? Where's my card? I probably shouldn't even confess this, but as I am, little by little working my way around this room and looking in drawers and cupboards and, again, trying to rearrange and make things work more efficiently for me, I've come to the decision that I will be getting brutal. Okay, I think that's good enough. I will be getting brutal with getting rid of some of the stuff I've been saving, like used envelopes. I've only got 3 million. Like cardboard of all, like from cardstock and packaging on up to, well, I don't have so much corrugated cardboard. Bags, paper bags. What else is totally out of control? Like paper strips. Holy cow, if I had to live long enough to use all that stuff up and not add another speck of anything, it would, it's insane. It's insane. And, I keep creating, well, here's a good recyclable bag, and it's like maybe one of those canvas ones, or not canvas, but what would that be? Burlap, I guess, that the Sage, SAJE, provides customers. So those bags are great because they have enough body to them that they just stand up on their own. So I have a bag of that started. Yet another bag started of, holding all these bits and pieces. And I've had it. It is wrong. It's insane. It's overwhelming. So that's what I'm going to be doing as my time permits. And if you've got any suggestions for, not letting a problem get away on you in the first place, I'd appreciate hearing that. If you have, well, no, I was going to ask for storage solutions, but I don't want to store it. I just want it out of here. So, yeah. Maybe give me some inspiration about how you got so tough and disciplined and I better not forget these circles. Tough and disciplined and what else? Consistent in taking care of the problem. The issue, and not letting it become a problem. Because I think, obviously, that is, that's kind of part of the thing. Don't be like me and probably others who think, well, if you throw something away, you've sinned in some way. Of course, we're reusing so much of what comes into our lives or what we choose to actually lay down some cold hard cash for so that we can repurpose it. So we're certainly doing our share in terms of using these things and therefore shouldn't feel guilty about getting rid of some things. Because again, one's feeling of calm and mental health has to be worth something too. And another thing that I find, and maybe you will agree with me here, that if you, I guess, stray from your comfort zone a bit and reach for things that you normally don't reach for, and go into drawers and bags and boxes and all sorts of, why is there this crease here? That's not a crease, that's texture. Come on. Then you realize that, wow, I have a lot of stuff that I have not used, that I've forgotten about, and it becomes kind of, it becomes a little more, it becomes easier and a little more urgent, perhaps, to start using some of those things. So that's my theory, and I'm sticking with it. So anyway, that is going to be happening once I get through this 100-day thing, because it will be kind of freeing, I would say. And I've also gotten over the idea that anything is very precious. I mean, yes, there are things that I still don't want to say hoarding, but refusing to use or being reluctant to use, because I think to myself, that is so wonderful. That is so incredible. That may never come along again. So, and over time, you realize a couple of things, or at least I have, that there's always more where that came from. That sometimes you have to get rid of something to make room for something else to come into your life. And that even the youngest among us will not live long enough to use up everything that most of us are acquiring. So let me check the time. So we're at 27 minutes. I guess we can maybe go a wee bit longer. Oh, I guess I could put something here as well. That little guy gets separated from the others. So yes, I think that is going to be very, I think that's going to give me a shot in the arm, to be honest. I was thinking about it the other night, and I don't know why I start thinking about some of these things when I should be closing my eyes and sleeping. But, you know, as this 100-day project comes to an end, I think what I'm feeling is a sense of pride, because obviously I'm going to finish. A sense of pride in having stuck it out and completed it. Oh, is this not going to work very well? I thought I would tear it, but it's kind of like got a plasticine. Oh, you know, it's so old I can peel it off. So maybe, oh, see, once you get rid of that little film, yeah, watch me shake this now for the next 5 minutes, trying to get the static electricity to let it go. What was I saying? Oh, the end in sight. This one is, mind you, why is it still so shiny? the heck came off there if it's still so shiny? Oh, but at least now it tears. Okay. Prior to having completed it, and I'm thinking, okay, so what would be a reasonable, and I think if you've watched any of them, you also realize that I've said, you know, kind of tried to be pretty frank about what it takes to do that many videos and how much prep and so on goes into doing something like that. So anyway, when I should have been sleeping, I'm thinking, okay, so what will be a reasonable YouTube video schedule to sort of aspire to, announce, you know, that sort of thing. Because obviously I could just randomly upload videos whenever I feel like it. Or I could, you know, have a schedule like some people do. You know, you can pretty well set your clock to them. And see, this one didn't even have, this side didn't even have any, maybe this is a page where the text is going to be pretty good. We probably want to skewer it though, so maybe we want to just put some napkin over. Yeah, how about that? So let's rip a little piece. Or no, you know what? In a case like this where it's just so random, I'm going to put the glue on here and then tear away the parts where it's not sticking. So I'm going to try to get pretty decent coverage, but I'm not going to pre-tear the napkin. Look how crooked that is. Ay. And again, I don't care about creases. In fact, I would have... Why is this so smooth? I would have preferred a few creases. Just because, you know, that's a little more fun. Oh, so I was talking about a schedule. And I'm thinking, but I really like making videos. I do want to obviously have some time to get something done without having to think, oh, can they see it? Or, you know, do I have everything within reach since I don't know how to edit? And my phone doesn't allow me to pause. See, that's kind of a good way to do it if, you know, in a scenario like this where you don't, you know, you don't really care about how or where it ends up. You just want, so down here, obviously I didn't glue all the way down there. And again, you know, these little bits I can, you know, sort of scratch at, or I can let them, you know, let it be what it is. And then, you know, if I am doing some gesso or something, hoping that it will adhere them, catch them at that point. I'm going to do this sort of in this upper corner, so there's a sort of a bit of a distribution of the pattern. Now I only, of course, picked these couple of paper, whoops, geez, that almost hit the glue. I only picked these couple of napkins because they hadn't been put away yet. so they were kind of in the way, so to speak. Let's see what I don't think my glue only goes up to about there. So yes, I think I'll sort of be feeling my way around to see what works both for me and for subscribers. Oh, I have to say I was pleasantly surprised earlier today when I uploaded a video. I saw that the subscriber number was 404. You know, it had been languishing at 390, 393, and then there was a little bump and it was 397, and then not that I'm watching it. I truly am trying not to agonize over it because I think it could be demoralizing. On one hand, it's encouraging, and I think, oh, those people they're so good. They're putting their support. They're showing me this level of acceptance and support. Isn't that wonderful? But then on the other hand, you think, oh my goodness, refresh the pages. Anyway, I shouldn't even be admitting stuff like that. Except you know that I tell it like it is. Anyway, so yes, I'm going to, oh, I said I wasn't going to tear until I have something, a glue thing laid down here. Can't get too big because that's a smaller napkin. Maybe I should ignore that part that I've... And when you just randomly slap down some glue, you kind of end up with an irregular edge anyway, or at least I have been. So when you tear around it, as I've been doing, you tend to have kind of a blurry edge anyway, so that's good. Is there anything better than napkins? Honestly, tell me, is there? Like, it's such an affordable craft supply and adds so much. This little guy down here wants to be ripped, I see. And of course, I could probably use a better tool than my fingernails, but they happen to be attached to my hand, so. Okay, let's put another bunch of these flowers. Okay, don't pre-tear. Now, in this case, I probably will let them cross the gutter simply because it is so thin. What could it possibly hurt? And in a case like this, now, if you watched yesterday's video, you'll know that this was a journal that I created to record kind of what I was trying to get some insight from using tarot cards. So I bought myself a deck, and I think it was called the Muse, which of course is what us creatives like to think we need. And so I was using this book to sort of record my, I don't even know what you call it. What do you call it? I don't even know the terminology. What do you call that when you turn those cards over? A reading? A reading? I don't know. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that even if I've written some stuff in here, and I didn't bother rereading any of it, so maybe there was nothing there to be concerned about, but I also know that if there was something that, you know, maybe I wouldn't want anyone else to see, this is certainly a good way to obscure it, because yes, you get the dimension, you get the added textural dimension of the text underneath, but you'd have to work pretty darn hard to figure out what it actually says. And again, I'm not that concerned about these little edges, because if they end up getting, you know, something over them, they're going to be just fine. Okay, so here, July 10th, 2020, keywords. Okay, night of inspiration, creation and inspiration, taking a risk. That's all. That could be like, holy cow, there's a message to this page. It's slightly obscured, it's slightly hidden, but boy, it's still there. I want to put this little bit of because of course this is a shred of paper. How can I let this go? Don't exactly, that's kind of not the best shape for what I did there. Oi, oi. I don't know, does every nationality have the equivalent of oi, oi, oi? Or is that just a Ukrainian thing? Oi, oi, oi. You know, when you're kind of distressed by the current situation. And I don't mean, you know, obviously a Russian invasion. I mean that you're not quite sure where the napkin is going to go down. Beautiful. I can't get this off my finger. Anyway, I'm sure I've taken too much of your time already, so I will stop there. Did I do the other side? No, I didn't. Anyway, you know very well that once I turn this camera off, I'm going to keep at this because I love it. I love it, I love it. Okay, so I don't know. I probably can't afford to do another video, like a day 90, I guess it would be, of this. But yet I do want to continue working on this at some point. You know, kind of irks me about this. Did that circle have a crease in it? Anyway, we shall overcome. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. I encourage you, I appeal to you to subscribe, to like, to share, to give a thumbs up, you know, all that jazz. And another thing I have to do very soon, because we have crossed the 400 mark, I am planning a giveaway when we hit that magic 500. So I have to put my money where my mouth is and start pulling together some. And it'll be, you know, authentic ephemera and some very exciting book pages and, well, all kinds of stuff. That's going to be fun to figure that out. Maybe I should put this guy over here. This is this must be from the tissue thing I did the other day. Maybe since this piece is kind of small and irregular, I should try to do it on here. I don't know if I've said this before or not, but like, I've been married a long time. I like to say that I was a child bride, but unfortunately that line hasn't worked for a number of years now. Anyway, so my husband says that, you know, visit your family and then try to get away. You say goodbye in the living room. You say goodbye in the kitchen. You say goodbye at the back door. You say goodbye outside, and then probably at the car window. So maybe there's some truth to that. So consider this the car window, and I'm really saying goodbye now. See you tomorrow. Bye.